Hello, welcome to MoreBikes.co.uk. We're here talking to the brilliant Nathan Millward. Yeah, the brilliant global tourer Nathan Millward. You might have read some of his books, including what was the long ride home. Thank you, and the light one.
Running Towards the Light.
Running Towards the Light. They are brilliant. We're only messing around. They're fantastic books, and if you can, get them and read them. They're about what touring a motorcycle essentially means to riders out there. Nathan's popped in for a quick chat with us. Nathan, good to see you. Thanks for coming down to MoreBikes.co.uk. Now, what I want to talk to you about, what we want to get some information out of you about is if people want to go on a big tour. You've done a lot of these big tours, but people at home, perhaps they haven't done it, perhaps are a bit worried about what it takes. If we were standing in a pub right now and I was going on a tour and I said to you, look, I just fancy doing a bit of travelling, what should I bear in mind? What's your top tips for people who want to go out on a big bike tour?
I think, first and foremost, you've got to define what's feasible. I mean, a lot of people want to do big trips, but they might not have the time. Time's the biggest issue. Money's probably... I mean, I never have money to do my trips, but I have credit cards. So that's mine. That's how I get round money. But time, a lot of people can't get round. They've got families, they've got kids, they've got commitments. So I think, first and foremost, you've got to start with what you can achieve. There's no point looking at doing an around-the-world trip if it's not feasible. And equally, there's no point saying, I'm going to do a around-the-world trip in 10 years' time when I retire, and then forgetting to do anything in the 10 years' time that you've got. So I think with adventure, and it's easy to get carried away with the big trips, and you should do a big trip, but I think it's making the most of the time that you've got currently, and even if that's a weekend, making the most of that weekend when you can to get out on the bike. So not necessarily dreaming about that big trip, but this weekend, what can I do? Where can I go? Can I go to Scotland and do some wild camping? Can I go to Europe? I mean, there's a lot of people out there who've never been to Europe and who are nervous about going to Europe. So maybe that's the first stepping stone. And I think with anything like that, if you're nervous, I mean, I never lose my nerves about doing a trip. I've done Sydney to London, New York to Alaska on a small bike. Doing this bigger bike across America, I was just as nervous as at the start of that. You never lose that, so it's completely normal to be nervous because you're always stepping into the unknown. Even if you've done it before, you can never predict what you're going to encounter. And I think the way for me to get over those nerves is just book something in, be it a flight or accommodation. I met somebody at the NEC who I think he just wanted to go to Europe, and he was nervous and he was pulling out of it and changing his mind. I said, just book your shuttle ticket. Pick a date like 4 weeks away, whenever you can do. Then just book that one single thing that makes everything else come into place. Because once you've got a date finalised and a booking, everything else that you've been worrying about will suddenly start to make sense. So, because before you do that, it's just a jumble. Where do I ride? How far can I ride? Do I go with two? Do I go with friends? Do I need to plan it? Do I do it? Do I camp? Do I get accommodation? So you've got all these issues and questions to answer, but you ought to start by making that first single act of commitment, and that's by booking a ticket.
So the focal point, get started, concentrate on something, book that ticket, and then you're away.
Yeah.
If you haven't done a big trip before, and when we say big trip, let's say something over 2 days. So you haven't done a big trip before. Would you recommend sticking to the UK for ease of use, or would you say, no, go to France, Spain, aim for somewhere like that, head to the Pyrenees and back, or what would you advise?
Again, it depends how much time you've got. I mean, I'm not particularly one of those who thinks, I've got a week, I'm going to ride as many thousands of miles as I can just to see it and then race back. I think you've got to enjoy your adventures as well. And so I think a lot of people who feel the need to go to Europe, maybe it'd be better going to Scotland, where they haven't got as many miles to ride, they've not got the issue of crossing the Channel, but you can do a lot of wild camping. There's beautiful sites up in Scotland. Equally, Cornwall, Devon. I mean, we kind of neglect England as a place to adventure and to travel and to camp travelling's about meeting people you've never met before and seeing things you've never seen before, and we can all do that here. I mean, coming to Horncastle, that's a place I've never seen. You go to Mablethorpe. I mean, how exotic's Mablethorpe in sunshine? Now it's about not getting carried away with this grandeur of adventure. As long as you're feeling like you're doing something different and challenging yourself and going somewhere you've never been before, then that's adventure. So, let's forget about where you ride or how long you ride. It's just that emotion, that fear. And I think adventure has to start with fear for it to lead to some, so I'm scared of going to Scotland, but once I've done Scotland, then I'm more confident I can do Europe. And once you've done Europe, then you might think Turkey. And then once you've done Turkey, then the world becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And easily accessible on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I think so. I think a motorcycle is still the best way of seeing the world. I mean, I can't say as I'm a passionate motorcyclist. I don't ride for pleasure. I ride because I enjoy what it brings to travelling. It's the best way of seeing the world. However far away from home you are. Across America, being on a bike is just a fantastic way of immersing yourself in the surroundings, the environment, the heat, the cold, even the rains. Yeah. It brings another dimension to your adventure. So bikes are fantastic things, and sometimes we get caught up in which bike and which equipment, when as long as it's got two wheels and an engine and a seat, then get riding type thing.
So the message is, if you're planning on doing a ride, or you've got an inkling, a thought, a hope that you want to go and ride, just basically start off, like you say, get that one focal point and then go from there.
Yeah, you've just got to do it. I mean, it's never easy to do it. You've just got to get over them nerves and just get on with it. There's no point talking about it forever and ever and ever and ever. And there's so many people come up to you when you've done something like this, and they'll, I've been thinking of doing this, and they've always got some tenuous excuses. Yeah. And they'll always have tenuous excuses. I'll always have a tenuous excuse not to do a trip, be it I can't afford it or time. But you just have to think, oh well, yeah, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And then you'll feel regretful. I fear regret. If I, like this America trip this summer, I knew if I hadn't done it, I would have felt really lousy this winter. So that's it, right? I've got to do it. And then you start looking, well, what can I do next? And so it's a funny one. You just got to. It's testing yourself, and you either want to test yourself or you don't. Yeah. And I think ultimately, if you dream about doing this big trip but you never get around to doing it, then I don't think you should beat yourself up either, because it just probably means it was never meant for you. If it's meant for you, you'll do it. You'll find any way to do it, any way to finance it, any way to find the time. But if it's not for you, you won't. You'll sort of swing towards something else, and therefore don't beat yourself up if you never ride around the world, because maybe it's not that great. It's kind of no. It's kind of you sleep a lot of solo single nights in a tent in the middle of nowhere. I mean, so the dream of riding, say, around the world is one thing, but the reality is very different. So it's not for everyone. There's
a real romantic notion to going around the world, isn't there? But like you say, if you've got 2-3 days, or you can manage 5 days, you can get somewhere. Even 4 or 5 days riding through Scotland can be the absolute pearl of a motorcycling career.
Yeah. I mean, I remember last couple of years ago, I did Scotland for 4 days, 5 days. Weather was beautiful. Got right up the top coastline and down through Applecross, and that were amazing. Some camp wild on a lock against the shore, and I mean that's no difference to whether you're in Scotland wild camping or Kazakhstan wild camping or Australia. It's you just do what's feasible and stop finding excuses not to do it, if you know what I mean.
Perfect, mate. That's the perfect message to send out to people out there. Thanks for talking to us. Stay tuned to MoreBikes.co.uk. Flick down the video channel, because we'll have a bit more from Nathan, and we'll make your 2016 just that bit more special.